Happy Tuesday, 7th graders. First of all, big announcement to make. Your quiz that was going to be on Friday is now next Tuesday. And let me explain why. Governor Thune's office called me today, and they picked my 8th grade class to be one for a Google Meet session with Senator Thune. And when the senator calls, you say yes. So, of course, the day that he wanted to meet with us was Friday morning. So I will be tied up in a Google Meet with Senator Thune and the 8th graders. So I thought, well, we can move it to next week Monday, but next week Monday is Grandparents' Day. And so we're going to move our map quiz to Tuesday, okay? So the first thing that I want you to look, if you look in your to-do list, it says, note that our map quiz is now Tuesday, and I have attached the schedule thus far. Some of you haven't gotten back to me yet, but it's still early. You're fine. But right now, these are the people that have signed up first choice for 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, and 12:30. And I will explain the details of how we're going to do that later, but at least know when your time slot is. So this is attached to Classroom. You can take a look at that. If you need to be changed, please email me and we can get you changed. All right. The next thing I'd like you to do is if you could hit pause and get your textbook and open to page 152 and 153. Go ahead and do that. Hit pause. All right. Hopefully you have your books open now to page 152 and 153 and that they are right in front of you here. What you're going to do today is we are going to leave the geography of Central America and the Caribbean, and we're going to go to its political history. So we're going to go and look at the history of it. You have probably heard often the saying, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue and he discovered America. Well, he discovered the Americas. He didn't actually land in the United States. When he left Spain in 1492, he ended up in the Caribbean. So you're going to read about that today. Columbus is going to land in the Caribbean, and if you launch your assignment, it's going to be this graphic organizer that's going to have you trace him landing in the Caribbean all the way down to this huge growth of slavery in the Americas. How did we get from Columbus landing here to slavery being a commonplace? So you're going to read page 152 and 153, and you're going to find the events that connect these two. Now, I just have this in light gray here as a hint. So you're going to go ahead and erase this, but this event is going to have something to do with slavery. And how do these two connect? And then you're going to answer questions 1 through 3, these summary questions. When your assignment is done, you can submit it. And for the last 10 minutes or so, I'd like you to study for your map quiz that will be next Tuesday. You can go back to yesterday's assignment. The study guides are there. The links to online Cetera are there. The directions on how to customize your quiz are there. So go back to Monday and do that. Okay, so Google Meet, page 152 and 153, fill out the graphic organizers, study for your quiz. Here's where we're going to part ways. If you want to tackle your assignment on your own, you may hit done and you may go there. The rest of you, I'm going to read your assignment aloud to you, and I'm going to give you little hints of what the answers are, what to put in each square or each circle. So if you want to tackle this on your own, go ahead and push pause or push stop and leave. All right? All right, the rest of you, we're going to do this assignment together. Anytime I give you a clue of what to put in your next circle, I would hit pause, type that in, and then come back and we'll keep reading. All right, so let's go ahead and start on page 152. Shortly after Columbus landed in the Caribbean in 1492, The Spanish began to make use of the region's rich resources. All right, you already know that that is circle 1. Columbus lands in the Caribbean in 1492. You don't have to put pause because I already put that one in your circle for you. So Columbus gets there and he looks around. Wow, the soil is great. The weather is great. We can grow cool things that we can't grow in Europe. So let's see what happens next. The actions of these colonists were the first step toward global trade. The Spanish settlers in the Caribbean grew cash crops, or crops for profit. The land on the islands was well suited for growing certain raw materials that were in short supply in Europe. For example, sugarcane grew well on the islands and could be sold in Europe. For example, sugarcane grew well on the islands and could be sold in Europe where there was a scarcity or a shortage. So there is number 2. The Spanish colonists grew cash crops. So you can hit pause and put that in. They grew the cash crops. They had great soil, great weather. They were able to grow sugarcane, tobacco, citrus, all of these things, and then sell it to Europe and make lots of money. Okay? What do you need on farms, though? You need people to harvest this stuff. So let's keep reading. The Spanish settlers exploited or took advantage of the labor of the native people for their heavy work on their farms. Okay, so that is circle 3. The Spanish exploited the natives as laborers on their farm. So the people that were living there, the people that were there first, end up having to work for the Spanish. And the Spanish were the ones making the money. So they used the native people as slaves, as laborers. Here's what happens to the poor native people. Let's keep reading. The natives were also weakened by sickness. They could not fight diseases like smallpox and malaria that settlers brought with them from Europe. As large numbers of native people died from disease, the Spanish settlers had to look elsewhere for workers they needed to farm their cash crops. Step 4. The natives die out, so the Spanish have to look elsewhere for labor. And you already know probably where they're going to look. They're going to look to Africa. But the natives die out and the Spanish have to look elsewhere for workers. All right? So, after minerals and raw materials arrived in Spain, manufactured goods went to Africa to pay for the slaves, beginning more than 300 years of slavery in America. Take your finger, put it on North America. So North America grows all the cash crops, cotton, sugar, tobacco. So they send it to Europe. Go ahead and send it to Europe. Europe takes those raw materials and makes goods out of them. Okay, clothes, guns, all these things, and they sell them to Africa. So go ahead, trace to Africa. Africa takes those goods and buys them and trades people or laborers to North America. And North America used those laborers to harvest cash crops, and it starts all over again. So we have this need for slaves. So the triangular trade route supplies slaves from Africa. And it just keeps growing, growing, and growing. The more demand for goods, the more demand for crops, the more demand for labor. So the triangular trade supplies slaves to Africa. Beginning in the 1500s, there was an exchange of what became to known as the triangular trade, or trade among 3 continents, America, Europe, and Africa. The new trade established economic patterns that continue today. Triangular trade soon brought about competition in European countries for resources of the region. Spain was gaining great wealth from the settlements in the Americas, causing other European countries to join the race for profit. Portugal, France, and Britain began competing with Spain for control over trade and the colonization of America. Everybody wanted in on those cash crops because they could make a lot of money because the labor was cheap and they were able to sell for a lot of money. So slavery continues to grow and grow and grow. Such a sad and dark part of the history of Americas, but it's something that we really need to talk about and study. All right. So you may submit your graphic organizer after you answer the 3 questions on there. And then whatever time that you have left, 5, 10 minutes or whatever, you can study for your quiz. That is it. Have a great day, 7th graders.